Random thoughts. In this video, I'm going to read a part of Richard Burton's book, First Steps in East Africa, Exploration of Harar. This is a book that was published in 1850s, and it's a book that describes Richard Burton's journey from Aden all the way to Zeila, all the way to Harar and to Berbera, and how that journey went as he traveled as an Arab merchant, but he was a spy, a British spy, trying to collect information that the British could use to try to capture the port of Berbera, which they consider to be of great value to them. Now, there is this part where it discusses, of course, there are many parts in the book where it discusses about the concept of blood money. And blood money is a concept that is widespread in East Africa. Almost every community in East Africa, or almost every republic that existed or monarchy that existed in East Africa before the arrival of the colonial powers, practiced this form of punishment for taking a life. Of course, if you've been following my videos, I've recently finished reading about the Bantu beliefs and magic, where it is mentioned how it was done among the Akikuyu, among the Akamba, and it's exactly the same with how it was done among the Somali, that if you took a life of someone, then your family or you and your family were expected to make payments to compensate the family of the person whose life was taken. Now, of course, so far I've talked about that concept many times. This is not the first time, but this is a huge twist to it. Now, among the Somali, of course, it was the same thing, that if you took somebody's life, you were expected to make payments to compensate the family. But now the twist here is that it went beyond just violence, because so far what we've talked about is violence. That if you took another person's life through violence, then you are forced to pay to compensate the family. But in this case, he brings out this twist where a medicine man, or we can say a doctor actually, gives a patient medicine. That patient goes and dies. Now the family of the patient, they come and demand to be paid blood money, that this medicine person was responsible for the death of their kin, which we can say is like modern day a doctor being charged or being asked to compensate for malpractice. Of course, it's part of modern systems that actually a medical institution can be sued, or even a particular doctor, for malpractice, and they might be forced to pay a huge amount of compensation to the family of a patient if it is ever established and proven that actually the death was either caused through some commission by the doctor or through some omission that they did not take care of the patient in the way they were supposed to take care of the patient, and they were so negligent that the patient lost their life, then they might be sued and they might be forced to pay compensation. Now, the Somali seems like they had a similar expectation of people who provided medicine. And this is what Richard Burton says. And in this part, he's talking about the visit by Sheikh Jami. Now, I've talked about Sheikh Jami in another video. This is the guy who invited Richard Burton to his home to show him his home library. It's the same guy. Now, at this point, Richard Burton has left the city. He's gone to Wilenzi, a nearby, you can say, village or town. And Sheikh Jami comes to the town and he finds Richard Burton is still in town, and they have a conversation. Of course, Richard Burton is interested to know what brings you here. And this is what he says. The Sheikh informed me that his peaceful errand on that occasion was to determine a claim of blood money amongst the neighboring Bedouins. The case was rich in Somali manners. One man gave medicine to another who happened to die about a month afterwards. The father of the deceased at once charged the mediciner with poisoning and demanded the customary fine. So, seems like there is this person who gave another person medicine, and then the person who was given medicine died in fact, months later, or a month later, and now the family of the deceased is suing the person who gave the medicine. And that's why Sheikh Jami had been sent, basically, he had been sent, I think, by the emir or government officials to go and collect information about this case so that it can be resolved. It doesn't tell us how that case was resolved, but of course, it's very interesting. It's very interesting that in this period, 19th century, that in the land of the Somali, they did actually have an expectation that a person giving another medicine or taking care of their health needed to be very careful, because if they were not careful, they could be held responsible for malpractice. I found that to be very interesting. Those are my random thoughts.